You're listening to Real Talk Texas on 570 KLIF News and Information. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert Steve Hakes.
Welcome to Real Talk Texas. This is Steve Hakes, your host. Today in the studio, we've got Jim Striegel of Coldwell Banker in Grapevine, and Jim is an expert in real estate for North Texas. And one of the things I love about this show is we get a chance to meet new people that come from different walks of life and have their own expertise that really help our listeners out there. And that is one of the reasons we reached out to Jim Striegel. He is a unique real estate agent. He's one of the top 1% of the agents in the marketplace. He's one of the top 100 buyer's agents in the Metroplex. He really knows the real estate market, and he has some great offers for you listeners out there. So you're going to stay tuned this whole show, and you're going to find out that Jim Striegel really is the guy that you want to call and either list your house or buy a house from. And what really intrigued me about Jim, we had a meeting before the show, was really his background. So welcome to the studio, Jim.
Thank you.
I wanted our listeners really to get a full picture of who you are, and that's why I brought you on. You've got a background that is very different than most realtors out there. And that is that you didn't start from right out of college in the real estate business, and you've got a great career of very successful businesses. So I'd like to share that with the audience. So can you tell me? Let's start with Lacoste. How you started there?
Well, back in the late 70s, I was in the ladies' apparel business, and I was doing sales and marketing, and got hooked up with a company called John Henry Shirts with Henry Grethel. And I ran the women's division for sales in the Southwest. And then as we grew that business, Lacoste came to me and wanted me to market their product in the United States for sales and marketing with Izod Lacoste for women, and that's what we did. And we built the brand and continue to build the brand. And then I got tired of traveling.
That was a huge brand, if I remember right,
yes,
in the 70s.
It was. And I got tired of traveling every week to New York City and all around the world. So I decided to get out of it and get into the car business. And I bought a...
It's very different than an apparel business.
It sure is. I purchased a car dealership that went out of business here in Texas and built it, and then sold it a year later. And I kept buying car dealerships that were in trouble. And then we would come in and take over the marketing and sales and build them and then sell the franchises. And
so wait, it's very different than apparel, very different than real estate. It must be some business fundamentals that you're using that carry over. Is that?
Yeah, it really all comes down to sales and marketing and how you treat the consumer. The bottom line is, if you take care of your customer base, if you build the consumer, they will follow you, number one. But it all comes down to marketing and sales and taking care of your clients.
And your staff?
Yes, we have staff. With the staff, you have to turn around and educate them on how to build a business, number one. You ask most real estate agents today to do a 5-year, 10-year, or 15-year business plan, and they don't know that. You've got to do a plan. You've got to plan your business out. You've got to do a marketing plan so that you can see, I'm going to spend X amount of money per month to build your brand, whether it's real estate, whether it's cars, whether it's ladies' apparel, whether it's wine. It doesn't matter what it is.
Well, speaking of wine, I think I can take us into another passion of yours, and we would like to talk about your winery.
Yeah, I grew up with my father and the Italians making basically Dago Red, which was Zinfandel grapes, and planted Fay Vineyard Stag's Leap in 1974. And so I do own a winery in Napa Valley with my partner Ann Votter, who was the winemaker for Karen Cake Bread, as well as Oakville Ranch. And the name of our winery is Red Mare, and we have built the company since '06 up to 4,500 cases, and our goal is to build it up to 10,000 cases.
And where can you find Red Mare?
You can find it all over the Metroplex. We have it at Togo's, Seagulls, Specs, Total Wine, as well as Bearings, Bob's, Nick and Sam's, Capitol Grill, Ocean Prime, Abacus. Most of the fine restaurants and good chefs in the city carry our wine.
And what makes it special?
Well, I think number one is most people don't do Sauvignon Blanc with French oak. So we do all of our wines with French oak, whether it be Chardonnay, which Chardonnay is 10 months in French oak, and then we'll do our Sauvignon Blanc is going to be 6 months in French oak. And then our Cabernet, which is 100% Cab, which is between Opus One and Groth, and over by Mondavi in Oakville, that wine will be 20 to 24 months in French oak, and then in the bottle for a year before it's produced and released. And so that's the key. And the key to making wine literally is have one of the top winemakers in the world, which we do have.
That's really cool. And I bet you listeners out there were surprised. We're here talking about real estate, and then when we got right into one of my passions too is wine. I love great wines, and so Red Mare wines are something you should look at, whether you're out to dinner or it sounds like you can actually buy it at retail as well. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Changing gears a little bit back to the real estate market and your team, so if you don't know about Jim, he's located in Grapevine. And he's right on Main Street in Grapevine, and right off of 114, correct?
Yes, right across from the Gaylord and Wolf Lodge on Highway 26.
There you go. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about to let our listeners know how you structure your team. You talked about successful businesses and being that you were able to go in from the apparel business into the car business and be successful, take a business, turn it around, and go forward. Tells me you've got some real fundamentals in place and business knowledge, and you've applied that to real estate. How have you done that with your real estate firm?
Well, I do two different programs. I do a program that is your home sold in 39 days guarantee or I'll buy it. And that is a trade-up program as well as me taking trade-ins. What I learned is, in the car industry, if car dealerships don't take cars and trade-ins, they don't sell very many cars. I do the same thing in housing. So if someone has a house and they'd like to purchase another home, I'll take their home and trade. The bank appraises it. So there's no, Jim says this or whatever. The bank appraises it. Whatever it appraises for is what we buy the house for. And we close the same time in 39 days if we don't sell it when they close on the other home. That's one of my programs. Then I do a listing discount. I do a 70% discount on my listing commission, which is for my clients that are moving up or buying another home. We'll give them a discount on the sale of their house up to 70% of the commission, and then they purchase another home with us.
Well, today in the studio, we've got Jim Striegel with Coldwell Banker. He's not your average real estate agent, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to stay tuned because we're going to get into what his opinion is of what's going on in the market in North Texas in a few minutes. We're also going to talk a little bit more about what's the best ways to market your house, buy and sell, things like that. You're going to stay tuned here at Real Talk Texas. I'm Steve Hakes, your host, on KLIF AM 570, News and Information.